All right, so here's a video on the warm-up in case you struggled with the warm-up and you need to be walked through it again. So first thing you need to do is decide the orientation. You're going to do that. This is an ellipse, I can tell because there's an x squared and a y squared and an addition separating them. You're going to decide if it is vertical or horizontal. If you look, this denominator is bigger, so therefore I know it's horizontal. All right, next you're going to find your center. Your center is located at HK, where H is the opposite of this and K is the opposite of this. So negative 1, 2. And I'll also write it down over here, negative 1, 2. All right, now I'm going to find my vertices. My vertices are A units from my center, where A squared is the bigger denominator. So A squared is 36. So I have A is positive and negative 6 when I solve by square rooting. And since this is a horizontal ellipse, I'll be going right 6 and left 6. Okay, so my points are at, my vertices are at negative 7, 2 and 5, 2. All right, next I need my co-vertices. My co-vertices are B units from my center, where B squared is my smaller denominator, so 25, and B is plus or minus 5. I'm going to go up 5 and down 5 from there. So my co-vertices are at negative 1, 7. Oops. And negative 1, negative 3. You could always check both your vertices and co-vertices by looking at your points. Like if I was comparing my vertices and my center, I would look to see what they have in common. They all have a y value of 2, so that's what's different. This is negative 1 and it went to 7, which is minus 6. This is negative 1 and it went to 5, which is plus 6. Now I was supposed to go left and right 6, so I know I did it right. Then you can do the same thing with your co-vertices. You can say, okay, this was at 2, now it's at 7, so that's up 5. This was at 2, and then it's down to negative 3, so that's down 5. And just make sure your numbers are all accurate. Okay, the length of the major axis, that's the length of this longer axis right here. So if you look at it, it's just twice A, which is 12. And then your shorter axis is twice B, which is 10. All right, foci and then area. So my foci are found by using c squared equals a squared minus b squared. C squared equals 36 minus 25. C squared is equal to 11. Square root plus or minus, square root plus or minus. Simplify the radical if possible. The radical is not simplifiable, so I know c is plus or minus root 11. I also want a decimal approximation for this because I want to be able to graph it. So root 11 I know is a little bit more than root 9. Root 9 is 3, right? So this is 3 point something. Now, since this is a horizontal ellipse, I'm going to go right and left. So 3 and a little bit more, 1, 2, 3 and a little bit more for my center. And that's where my foci are. If you want to label them F1 and F2, you can, or you can not label them at all. It doesn't matter. Okay, as long as you just graph them. Now I need to connect my co-vertices and vertices, my 4 points there to make my ellipse. And there's my ellipse. Okay, next I'm going to write the location of my foci. If you look, my foci are floating in between two values right here. So I can't just say oh, it's negative 4 or something. I don't know, and I'm not going to use a decimal approximation. I want an exact answer. So since it's floating, I'm going to use my center for help. I went horizontal from there. So that's my x value. So from negative 1, I went right and left root 11, but I did not move up or down, so that's still 2. Okay, let me get rid of all these circles and underlines over here. Okay, last but not least is the area. The area is a times b times pi. Remember, a is here, b is here. So 6 times 5 times pi, which is 30 pi. And that's it. All right, next one, in case you needed help with this one. So first off, I can tell it's an ellipse. Well, it says it right here, but there's just x squared and y squared in addition separating them. And that's how we identify ellipses as of now. When we see circles, you're going to have to be able to tell the difference between an ellipse and a circle, but that's next section. Okay, so I have to decide if it's vertical or horizontal. This value, the second denominator, is bigger, so this is vertical. Now I'm going to find the center. HK is 0, -2. I'm going to graph that. All right, now I need to find my vertices. They're A units from my center, where A is my bigger denominator. Sorry, A squared is my bigger denominator. So I get plus or minus 7. Now this is vertical, so I'm going up and down 7 units. So I'll go up 7 units, down 7 units. So that's 0, 5, and 0, -9. The order of which way you write those does not matter. You can write 0, -9 first, is what I'm saying. All right, next my co-vertices. They are B units from my center, or B squared is 9. So B is right and left 3. So I'll go right 3 and left 3. And then I'll list those 2 points. That's 3, -2, and -3, -2. My major axis is my longer axis. This axis right here, if you look, it's just double A. So double 7 is 14, and my minor axis is double B, which is 6. I'll do my area while I'm here because it's just A times B times pi. 7 times 3 times pi is 21 pi. Last but not least, my foci. My foci are C units from my center, where C squared is equal to A squared minus B squared. C squared is equal to 49 minus 9. C squared is 40. Square root to solve. This time your radical is simplifiable, so you're not going to leave it. C is plus or minus. 4 goes in there 10 times, so 2 root 10. All right, now I need a decimal approximation to actually graph my foci. You're going to use the root 40 for help. You're going to put this in your answer over here. The root 40 is going to help you graph it. All right, root 40 is a little bit more than root 36, which is 6. So this is 6 point something. I'm going to go back to my center. Since it's vertical, I'm going to go up 6 and a little bit more and down 6 and a little bit more. So almost touching that vertex there. All right, I'm going to connect these, my co-vertices and vertices to make my foci. To make my ellipse. And then I'll write the location of my foci. Location of my foci, once again, if you look, they are floating in between 2 values. So I don't want to write a decimal approximation. I'm going to write an exact answer, and I'm going to use my center for help. My center is 0, -2. I move vertically, so I'm going to change the -2. The 0 stays the same. 0, comma. From -2, I went up and down, and then you're going to use this right here, 2 root 10. And that's where your foci are located. All right, that's it for the warm-up. Notice I already have the rest of the notes filled in. That's the video following this. You only needed to watch this video if you had issues with